The appendix carry presentation to the target is going to be not unlike you would if you had a hip holster, but instead of coming back to your hip, you're simply coming up in your front area. What I'll do if I'm utilizing both hands, I'll take my weak hand and I'll grab my clothing just below where the muzzle of the gun would be, and I'll put my shirt straight up and I'll come straight down on the pistol, finger off the trigger of course, and at that time I can present the gun to the target. So with both hands again, I'm going to grab my clothing low over the muzzle of the gun, lift it up to expose the butt of the gun, come straight down on the pistol, and from there I can simply draw it out and continue as I would as I normally have both hands in action. So I'll go through that a couple times so you can see it from the side. Going back to the holster, you need to be extremely conscious. Obviously, the appendix area is a crucial part of your body, and you obviously don't want to have an unintentional discharge, have your finger on the trigger, or perhaps maybe get a piece of clothing stuck in between your trigger guard. So remember, as always, going back to the holster, no need for speed. If we're going to go back to the holster, that means the scene is safe, things are secure, and I no longer have a reason to have my gun in my hand. That way I can take just that extra half a second of time to make sure that my holster is clear and my finger's off the trigger. So when I go back to the holster, I want to make sure fingers off the trigger, and I'm going to go in the opposite order. Lift up my shirt, expose the holster, finger off the trigger, come down, make sure that holster is completely clear, no clothing in it, and safely go back to the holster, and then I can conceal my pistol again. So going back to the holster, look like this a couple times. One hand only presentation with a strong hand only with an appendix mounted holster, same holster I was utilizing before, is going to be pretty straightforward. Going to be very similar that it was on the strong side hip. I'm simply going to use my strong hand only, reach low over the muzzle of the gun, lift my shirt up, stabilize my shirt with my wrist and my forearm, and then come straight down on the pistol, present it out to the target. So that'll look like this. Going back to the holster with one hand is going to be a tricky maneuver. I wouldn't recommend practicing going back to the holster with one hand from appendix with a untucked shirt or open front. You're risking your safety by compromising getting clothing in there. If you have a need to secure your pistol with one hand only and you absolutely have to secure it somewhere, you could always go back to the pocket, stuff in a waistband, place the gun on the deck or something to that effect. Keep in mind, if we're putting the holster, or if we're putting the gun back in the holster, or we need to secure it, the scene is obviously safe at that time.